So they told us that wealth was locked behind boardroom doors that we would never enter. That freedom was reserved for the privileged, the connected, the already rich. But let me tell you something. That's a lie. We are the generation that's rewriting the rules. We don't need $1 million trust fund. We don't need a landlord's permission. What we need is a blueprint. That's exactly what I'm about to give you. This is Airbnb Pro Tips. And I'm your host, Earl McCray. And every week, we're breaking down real game on how to launch, how to scale, and how to automate your Airbnb passive business, all without owning property. We're giving the strategies, the money moves, and the mindset shifts that separate those from the dream from those who execute. Here, we celebrate wins, big and small. Here, we're talking to real entrepreneurs, the one who took action and they changed their lives. Here, we're giving the blueprint so you can stop watching and start building. So, if you're ready to tap into your God-given ability, to turn knowledge into passive income, to create a system that works for you instead of you working for it, hey, welcome home. This is where transformation begins. This is where faith mind meets execution. This is where you level up your Airbnb game. This is Airbnb Pro Tips.
All right, let's go. Airbnb Pro Tips. I am your host, Earl McCray, and I am excited to be back in the studio for another session. And we're going to do as we do. We normally have 4 or 5 segments depending on the time and the questions, but we always like to start with STR, short-term rentals, in the news. And we like to share a couple fun facts that you can share if you're at a mixer at a party. Show how on top of the industry you are. And then I want to pull back the curtain and I want to talk to you about some crazy but real stuff that happens in the world of STR. And then finally, what we want to do is we want to talk about some wins for the week, as well as some marketplace questions if any of my mentees join me. So that's what we're going to be doing on today. All right, so let's get into it, shall we? Here we are. So I wanted to bring this to the front of the attention. The reason I love this STR thing is I believe that Airbnbs, they can help with the finance and the romance. But little did I know that I would be able to find something in the news. So here we go. Airbnb and romance. An American woman finds love in an English countryside through Airbnb. Here's the story, y'all. Woman's name is Megan Baxter. Now, she's seeking some time away, some solitude, and she books a space in the rural part of London. She decides to retreat to this English countryside just because she wanted to get her mind right. Not intending to do anything but to have some me time. She finds some peace, she wants some clarity, but instead, she connects with her Airbnb's host, very eligible, very handsome son. So the story goes, initially, Megan was hesitant to interact, but a friendly conversation evolved, beginning with culminating in a dinner date. Their unexpected romance flourished with the support and the optimism of Megan's family back in the U.S. and her host family in London. So this couple now sees each other on a regular basis, and their story has gained significant attention since going viral on social media. Megan emphasizes the value of their health and supportive relationship, focusing on mutual growth and shared goals. I need a picture. Let's see what we need a picture of this couple. Man, look at all right. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not a big fan of the catfishing. I'm not a big fan of maybe a lot of these online dates because I'm a 70s baby. We didn't have all that technology. But if you're in the right place at the right time and the Lord synchronizes situations, whether it's in an Airbnb or at a homecoming basketball game, there's somebody for everybody. So this is good job, Megan. Good for you. Good for you. All right. All right. So I said we are going to find some romance in Airbnb. Let's talk a little bit about some finance in Airbnb. Okay, here we go. We find a entrepreneur transforms an abandoned train car into a profitable side hustle. All right, so here's the story. 27-year-old from Idaho named Isaac purchases a 100-year-old abandoned train car for 2,300 euros, I believe, or pounds, maybe 2,300 pounds, and transformed it into a luxurious Airbnb one-bedroom apartment, now earning him an annual income of 90,000 pounds every year. The project, which was inspired by Isaac's dad, involved moving a 61-foot carriage and undertaking extensive renovations over a span of about 6 months, costing him now 1,118 pounds. He refurbished the train car, features a living room, a kitchen, a bathroom, a bedroom, and a sauna, all adorned in vintage furnishings. Guests can enjoy a cozy stay with a panoramic view of the surrounding wildlife in Idaho, with nightly rates between 256 pounds and 275 pounds. That's roughly about $1. And Isaac cherishes the project, appreciating his historic charm and potential in renovating old structures. Guys, we got to see a picture of this. Hang on. Wow. Okay. Wow, that's not bad. That's really not bad. That's pretty doggone good. Wow. That's pretty good. So that's the outside of it. Okay. And this is in Idaho, Montana. That's pretty good job. Pretty good job indeed. All right, well, guys, that's what I got for you this week. Airbnb STRs in the news. All right, let's get to our next segment. In our next segment, I always like to give you guys who are, networking out, and the saying is your network is your net worth. You're going to have opportunities to be out and about at mixers. And if you get into this short-term space, people always hit you up for like you're the connect. And, this might be some cool conversation to have if someone, is having discussions with you over a beer, a beverage, a martini, or whatever. All right, here we go. Couple fun facts if you're at a mixer or party. Let's get into it. All right, let's see. Let's see. Okay. Where did one of the most unique Airbnb rentals take place, y'all? Okay. Could it have been A, a submarine in the Pacific, B, a desert igloo, C, a natural cave in New Mexico, or D, a floating house in Venice? I'm going to be upfront with you. I got this one wrong. I went for the okie doke. See, for me, a desert igloo was like a little bit of an oxymoron. Igloo, get it? Snow, desert. So I went with that. But the true thing is, the most unique Airbnb is a natural cave in New Mexico. A natural cave in New Mexico was converted into an Airbnb. Crazy. Google it. I meant to get the photo ready for you guys and just didn't happen in time. All right. Also, kind of crazy. Which iconic dollhouse was turned into a real life Airbnb, y'all? Okay, stuff. Listen, folks, you cannot make some of this up. Can't make some of this up. All right. Which iconic dollhouse was turned into an iconic Airbnb? A real life Airbnb. Here it is. Is it A, Polly Pocket's mini mansion? Is it B, Cinderella's castle? Is it C, Barbie's dream house? Or is it D, the Lego house? What y'all think? And I'm proud to say I did get this right. What do you think? What do you think? Well, if you thought it was Cinderella's castle, that would be wrong. But it was Barbie's dream house. Come on, y'all. All the fanfare that Barbie movie got, you didn't think that someone was going to grab that and decide to turn that into a profit center? Of course. Barbie's dream house is actually an Airbnb. Okay, here we go. Got two more for you, and then we're going to move on. Which eerie and abandoned place can you rent your own Airbnb? Is it A, the Alcatraz prison, B, the Cerro Gordo ghost town, C, the catacombs of Paris, or D, an old mental asylum in Scottsdale, Arizona? One more time. Okay. We had a prison. We had a ghost town in Cerro Gordo. We had the catacombs in Paris. And we had a mental asylum in Scottsdale, Arizona. Did not get this right, by the way. And that real answer is there is a ghost town in Cerrito Gordo. Cerrito Gordo. Never been there. Don't think I want to. All right. And we'll go with this. Which world famous landmark was once offered as an Airbnb stay before being canceled? Was it the Taj Mahal, the Sydney Opera House in Australia, the Great Wall of China in China, the Colosseum in Rome? So Taj Mahal, y'all know where that is. All right, that's India. Sydney Opera House, that's Australia. Great Wall, that's in China. And the Colosseum, that's in Rome. Let me know, which do you think it is? Which world famous landmark was once offered as an Airbnb stay before being canceled? And I did not get this right, but the correct answer, y'all, is China. China. Okay. All right, we are going to work on our next segment. Our next segment. I like this segment because it really does allow me to pull back the covers on the crazy. I say the crazy that is often this business called Airbnb. And so I have three stories for you. We may not get there, but I at least wanted to put there some thoughts together in order of most recent to least recent. Okay. So this story happened about 60 to 90 days ago, first quarter this year. And names have been changed to protect the innocent, obviously. But we will begin with the story by saying we, on occasion, will go against protocol and best practices because we're always interested in what if situations. What if? And we did a what if, uh, and it didn't it didn't reach it didn't get the conclusion that we wanted. Um, and here's the thought. So we had a woman who, oh my God, I forgot about this. Oh my God. I'm gonna have to share this in our next segment. This happened quite a long time ago. This happened in the summer. All right, interesting. All right, and and names have been changed, but the story I'm going to tell you about is a woman named Brenda. The text thread I'm looking at right now, this is also a Brenda, different Brenda though, but still crazy. Okay, so the Brenda that I want to talk about in this moment is a Brenda with a small child. Okay, so we don't normally host these types of Brendas because what we've found is that in our business model, um, small children and business travelers don't kind of normally mix. They're not a good. They don't normally coexist well. However, the story is this particular location wasn't getting a lot of traction, so she showed up, had a little bit of a sad story. A child was involved, worked on my heartstrings. My wife, who's kind of the better business head than I am, kind of said, "Nah, I don't think we should do it." I said, "Well, honey, let's try it." The long and the short of this is, guys, we gave this woman with child a an unheard of situation where we didn't even ask her to do a security deposit, which again, our business model, the pro tip is this: if you can avoid locals, do so at all costs. If a local, that's number one takeaway. Number two, if a local reaches out to you, the one thing that you can do to kind of discourage the booking, because you don't want to really say no, but you do want to protect yourself, is you want to require a security deposit. Some say 500, some say 1,000, depending on your market. Okay. So that didn't happen. Again, you know, pulled at my heartstrings, knew a child was involved. It was in the middle of a very cold period here in upstate New York. We gave in. Long and the short of it was um her child, I think, was special needs, and she was just not a very attentive mom. And I ended up sending this message to her during I popped in because I don't recall, but the truth of the matter is I'm glad I popped in. It was a hot mess. I took photos, and the photos just like, oh my God. There was garbage that was overflowing. There was um, all kinds of food that was scattered all over the countertop. She wasn't really picking up, and even though this was a room private room, shared common space setup. She was living in the place like it was her. She was a sole person in the apartment, which was problematic because if I had another guest in there, I would have gotten a lot of crazy complaints. So here's the message I sent: crazy but true guest interactions. Dear Barbara, following up on our previous communication, we wanted to address the condition in which your room and the house were left after your stay. As a reminder, the apartment must be kept clean and returned in the condition in which you found it. Unfortunately, this was not the case, as the photos provided by our cleaning staff shows that neither your room nor the common areas were cleaned or maintained as expected. As a result, an additional cleaning fee of $97 was charged to cover the extra effort required to restore the space to its original condition before the next guest. In addition, we are currently working to remove the stains found on the fabric chairs. If we are not successful, we will need to reach out to you again to discuss further action. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it should not have had to get to this point. And that's how that's how this guest made this segment. Because that message went out 15 days after this message went out. So 15 days I want you to time travel. 15 days in the past, we sent out this message. All right. Good evening. Here are the checkout instructions. Okay, hold on. No. That's wrong one. Wrong one. I'm glad I saw that. So I think the story was she needed to extend, and we're trying to give her a solid. Okay, so my bad, not 15 days. This went out 20 days, 20 days earlier. Good evening, so-and-so. During our visit to check that the locks were working properly and to drop off additional paper supplies. That's what was going on. Had to drop off supplies. The following issues were observed. Food and kids' clothing were found under the sofa. Guys, food and clothing. Food was spilled on the floor and left on the table. Fabric chairs had noticeable food stains. The kitchen was untidy with unwashed dishes in the sink. Crayon markers, y'all, crayon marks were drawn on the refrigerator. Little did I know it was on the TV also. And the bathroom was left in an untidy state. These conditions not only require significant extra cleaning to prepare the apartment for the next guest, but also raises concerns about attracting pests such as mice and roaches. Maintaining a clean and tidy space is crucial in preventing these issues, which could affect the comfort and the health of future guests. To address these concerns, an additional cleaning fee can be imposed if this issue is not addressed. Please note that maid service is not included in the rental cost, which ensures that our rates remain slow and affordable. We kindly remind you that the apartment must be maintained in a condition that you found it. All personal items should be kept in your private room, and all food items should be stored in the cabinet to ensure cleanliness and courtesy towards other guests in the area. All right, guys. So interesting. I want to ponder on that situation because I want to share with you some insights. All right. Insight number one. I forgot what I called her. Brenda, Barbara, whatever. We totally know how to handle locals, but we did not do. I'm going to take ownership. I did not do it the way that I've learned, because I was trying to be a human being. Shame on me for being a human being, y'all. And shame on me not understanding the way you do the little things is the way you do everything. Had I not been a human being, I would have simply not approved the booking. We would not have had this back and forth around just personal housekeeping, keeping things nice, having your child. Now we are a kid friendly Airbnb when it is a weekend rental, a vacation rental scenario. But this person was in our space from, I believe, December 1st to like March 21st. It was a midterm stay. And, the truth is, we know better. And when you know better, you should do better. And we didn't. So we fell down on the ball in terms of mitigation. Looking back, would I do it differently? Probably not, because I have that experience of hindsight. The moment I was a human being and I didn't follow best practices, it kind of bit me. Yeah, and so, in this particular unit, be it was almost a blessing and a curse, because I was marketing the other side of the space and could not get traction. But in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my God, if someone wanted to see the place in the state that it was in, it would not have been a good look. So I really say the universe, God's universe, looked out for me and didn't put that situation, didn't manifest that situation, so we would have been utterly embarrassed. So Brenda, Barbara, my takeaway from that is stand by your procedures and protocols. Either don't do locals at all, or do locals under the provisions that there has to be a hefty security deposit, because quite honestly, had there been there, this guest would have never booked. Okay, never booked. Okay, I think we got time for the second one. The second one was another crazy but real guest interaction. And this guest interaction is coming from uh, Brent. Brent. Okay. And let me find Brent's story real quick. Looking for Brent. All right. And Brent was a little bit of an interesting person. And here's why. Let me start by kind of starting from the beginning. This was his final review. There was a supposed air hash service animal that was left in the room across the hall. The dog would scratch at the door, barking and whining, including three, including a 3 in the morning incident. I brought this to the attention of the owner, and nothing was done about it. I would highly discourage anyone from renting this place. The trash bins were full the entire stay. I made the owner aware, and they did not take care of the bins. All right, show the review. Show the review. So in this review, overall rating was a 4. Now, guys, that's not 4 is not. We are, our average is a 4.8. And they went as far as saying, the location was noisy, not much to do. Communication was always responsive. The accuracy, they said it was, they gave me a 4 for accuracy, gave me a 4 for cleanliness, and gave us a 5 for check-in detail. All right, so I think what this situation, the backstory of this situation was, and it's a pretty interesting backstory. So Brent was to say it mildly, was in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong person, and the wrong situation resulted. So Brent, um, I should say Bob. I've already said his name a couple times. So Bob books a place 2 days before this quote unquote travel nurse books, and this quote unquote travel nurse did not disclose that they were traveling with a service animal. At the time, we had not encountered service animals. We didn't know the protocols. We didn't understand the nuance between a support animal and a service animal. So let me just kind of clear the air. A service animal, when you work, they work. A support animal doesn't go to work. Their only job is to make you feel good. So 90% of Americans have service animals. No. We have support animals. Our friends, our fur babies that are at home when we come home from work, they are support. They support us emotionally, mentally, physically. I love my fur baby, but that wasn't a service animal. A service animal, when you work, when you're working, they're working as well. They are helping us people walk who are blind. They are helping people who are in law enforcement make sure that there's no undesirables that are coming through customs. That's the picture of a service animal. So New York State, Airbnb, they haven't really figured this out. So they because they want to make it a point of not being discriminatory, service animals and support animals are kind of like interestingly merged together. So the long and the short of it, this woman was not taking care of the animal appropriately, that she was leaving in the house. We weren't made aware of it. Other guests weren't made aware of it. So it was a utterly terrible situation. She worked at night. The service animal was home alone, making noise for other guests. It was just a terrible situation. Um, so this particular guest, was scheduled to have a 30-day stay. They were trying to place for the first 10 days. Needless to say, they didn't advance after 10 days. They actually left early. They left the time frame. I think there was an overlap of about 4 days. And finally, because we were looking to get guidance from Airbnb, never been in this situation. And Airbnb did not help us out. We were on the fly trying to figure it out. In hindsight, what I learned from the situation was this. I would have immediately done a few things differently. So this was a 4-bedroom house. Every room in the house had a guest. I would have done my best to reposition those other 3 guests who had no fault, had no ill will in the situation. They just wanted a affordable, comfortable stay. I would have transitioned them to some of our sister properties at no cost to them. The woman who was kind of victimizing all of us, what I would have done differently there is I currently do this on all my listings. I have a provision of additional house rules that explicitly speaks to service animals. Because it's in the listing, if I ever get another booking and I learn after the fact that there's a service animal, I'm going to verbally or electronically go in there and ask them to authorize that they've read the rules and expectations around service animals. And now it's in the text thread between myself, her, and Big Brother, Airbnb. Now, this woman violated most of those expectations. So I'm going to screen share and I'm going to share with you some of what the regulations say about service animals. Let me get out of here because I think this is a interesting conversation. Service animals. I'm going to get into a listing. Any listing will do. And I'm going to go to house rules. So you can see how we have positioned ourselves so that we will never experience this again. Because it was a doozy. Okay, there's our house rules. Okay, here we go. So we have some verbiage right here. Guidelines for Airbnb guests with service animals. All right, number one, never leave unattended. Do not leave your service animal alone in the Airbnb rental, indoors or outdoors. Okay, that rule got violated. Communicate early. Inform the host beforehand about the service animal to address any concerns. That got violated. Respect the property. Prevent damage and clean up after the service animal. That got violated. Be courteous to others. Consider other guests' experiences. Ensure your service animal does not disturb them. That got violated as well. So on multiple levels, this person violated these rules, but and having this conversation with you all is we didn't know what we didn't know, and we didn't front load our listing with these rules so that we could hold them accountable after the stay. So because of that, this poor guy had a horrible experience in our space, and as a result, we feel badly about it. But here's our response. And guys, his private note was, I am not happy with the fact that the dog kept me awake. Also, the trash bins were full the entire stair. There was no place for to put the trash. Yeah, this is one of those things where me and my team had to speak directly about our protocols and systems, and we got it fixed. So here's how we responded, y'all. Here's how we responded. Mm-hmm. Get a minute. We have a lot of reviews, so give me a minute. Mm-hmm. Where is Brent? I'm not gonna find it there. Hang on. Let's go to another text thread. See if I can find it here. Oh, here we go. It says, thank you for sharing your feedback about your recent stay at our Airbnb property. We apologize for any inconvenience caused by the service dog barking and the oversight about the trash bins. We take great pride in being super hosts, maintaining an average rating of 4.8 over hundreds of bookings. Your experience does not meet the high expectation, high standards we strive to uphold for our guests. Regarding the service dog issue, we understand its impact on your stay. We take all guest concerns seriously, and we kindly ask you to reach out to Airbnb customer service to discuss the matter further, as they do not assist us with undisclosed service animals. They can provide assistance in obtaining any applicable discount or resolutions. We apologize once again for not meeting your expectations and appreciate your understanding if you choose to stay with us in the future. And that was literally all we could do with this particular guest. And it was a little painful because again, we do take a lot of pride. We do take being a super host very serious. And unfortunately, we didn't hit the bar in this situation. But yep, this is again this week's installment of crazy but real guest interactions. Okay. All right, well let's go to our next this is terrible. I'm just looking at a text message from one of my guests who made mention that she wanted to extend because her father was not doing well and she wanted to be with him to the very end. Um and sadly she reported her dad did pass away this afternoon. Um and Let me just text your condolences. Um so yeah, as I said, being a human in the hospitality um space is not a not a is not it's required. You got to be human. And sometimes being a human means that you don't always follow your gut or your hard and fast rules, but being a human allows you to learn from situations and do them better the next time. So um there we go. Wins for the week, guys. My wins for the week as I take a look at my phone. I got a text message while we've been on, and my son um, Patrick is transitioned and from a U.S. soldier to now he's going to be a blossoming entrepreneur, and he's in a new state, in a new city, creating his own mark. He and I are currently reading a Grant Cardone book called 10X. And, you know, his goal is to get his finance degree and to, you know, you know, take advantage of mentorship and possibly start a franchise in the fitness industry. So, he's a 22-year-old, tons of opportunity in front of him. So he's my win for the week that, he still wants to check on dear old dad and to talk about his goals, his visions. Um, he makes he's one of these kids. He's created a message. What is it called? Apple Note, and the title of his note is goals and items to focus on. And every day he goes in and he's just killing it. He's getting things done. So that's exciting. All right, so I rambled a little longer than I anticipated. What I want to do right now is just kind of use the rest of the time. We're going to stop at the top of the hour to to really dive in to some insights that we've been using in our business that's moving the needle. And I want to start with a um I want to start with a we were talking about house rules, and I think I want to go there. I want to talk about what are some very important but sometimes overlooked house rules that you absolutely want to consider. So I want to go to one of my whole house listings. I don't go through rules so that you might have a measure of thought as you are creating your space and you're thinking about rules that are going to give you the most bang for your buck. Okay. So here's our typical house rules, guys. They're going to ask you, are you allowing pets? You can refuse pets, but most reasonable accommodations, but most reasonably accommodate service animals. So know that in advance. Our max is one. Events, you allow them or do you not? Smoking, do you allow it or do you not? Quiet hours, we do have quiet hours. Our quiet hours are typically 11 through 8 in the morning. All right. In this particular setting, we have some additional house rules, and we're going to share them with you guys now. Here's our house rules. Uh, um, we put quiet hours, not that we even enforce them, but we just put them there so people have a built-in expectation that this is not going to be a place where you're going to have an after hours venue, and that's going to be that's going to work. So we do expect people start quiet down 10, 11 at the latest, because most of our places are in residential areas, and whether you're on vacation or not, the people in that area may have to get up the next day. We also, go out of our way to let people know um be respectful of other guests and neighbors. In this case, I'm just going to put other respectful of neighbors. I'm just going to update that. Okay. No local bookings without prior approvals. No locals, no locals, no locals. Locals must have written pre-approval before booking. If we find out you're a local and do not obtain prior approval, your reservation will be canceled. So we know we spoke a moment ago about the woman with a child. Um, we're going to always side with being human, and when we are in our humanness, if it makes sense to collect a hefty security deposit on the front end to ensure that no damage occurs, then we'll move forward. But if someone's not being above board, we're going to put that right in the rules, which is going to give us the a power and the authorization to suspend the booking immediately. Okay. General conduct and guest limitations. Guys, no smoking, vaping, excessive drinking, loud noises, parties, unapproved overnight guests, point blank, period. All right. Get that in your rules. All right. No groups of entirely 21-year-olds or younger without prior written approval. Guys, we don't want to do business with someone who's not above 21 years old. Now, we want to be general enough to say that, if they're in that party, and there's people who are older, there's some wiggle room. But a group of 21 and unders, give me a break. Think about when you were 21 and under. What kind of rational choices did you make, or what kind of irrational choices did you make? Okay. My list is a little longer on the irrational side. You don't want to not include that in your rules. Okay. Next rule: guests must be accounted for in that reservation. So if someone tells me that 10 people are going to be in the party, but yet I see 20 people on the camera, no bueno. That's not good. Guest count includes everyone entering the residence at any time, not just those staying overnight. Failure to disclose guests before arrival will result in either termination of that reservation or an additional fee for extra guests. You bake that right in there, friends, so there's no misunderstanding if that occurs. Okay? No commercial use or special events, weddings, bachelor parties, photo shoots, etc., without prior approval. Guys, prior approval is the key, right? Because there's other platforms that you can use, like a shared space that's explicitly catered towards that market. And sometimes we use those platforms, but there has to be explicit approval. Next, check-in and security. Door codes are only released to the person who's booked the reservation. So, mommy and daddy cannot book a Airbnb for Johnny or for Susie so they can have an event. That does not work. A valid government photo ID must be provided before check-in. A lot of times that's inherent, especially if you're doing a platform like Airbnb. But if you're doing a direct booking, somebody might need to be present to see that. Front door cameras are in use for security purposes. You state that even if that security camera isn't actually functional. A visual deterrent is better than no deterrent at all. Okay. Extended stays are 30 days or more. Guests are responsible for restocking. You put that out there. And additional cleaning fee applies. Linens must be washed every 3 weeks to avoid that additional charge. Now we might evolve. We might start providing a midterm cleaning or an upcharge, but we're just working out the details on that. Okay, checkout and housekeeping. Checkout is at 10 a.m. Some people like to stay beyond 10 a.m. That is an upcharge for a late checkout. Late checkouts will result in additional fees, and do not use, I repeat, do not use our address for mail or package deliveries. We are not, I repeat, we are not responsible for any undelivered items. And then the last piece, as I wrap this up, talks about smoking and pets. This is a strictly smoke-free environment, drug-free environment. Smoking, vaporing, and drug use inside or around the unit, important to say that, will result in a $500 fee and possible termination of the reservation. And there's a couple more pieces that we talk about. Service animals is there, okay? And to that end, we're at the top of the hour, and I just want to let you guys know we will do this next week again, to bring attention, bring light, and bring opportunity to anyone who is truly interested in playing in this playground called short-term rental. Because not only is it a opportunity to really make money while you sleep. Passive income is the best type of income, but also to build some incredible connections with people that you're servicing. So guys, if you've been on that hamster wheel for a minute, or if you're a newbie and you're just getting in the workforce and you're saying, why did I go to school for this? Recognize it's not about how hard you work, but it is how smart you work. Getting into this industry is one of the best decisions my wife and I made. So, on that note, we're going to bring this segment to a close. But remember, be blessed. But more importantly, be a blessing. Take care, guys.